What's up again, everybody? Oh man, let's get to talking about the huge news and spoilers that were revealed by WizKids product manager Jimmy O'Brien and the Ministry of Dice podcast. First of all, huge shout out to the Ministry of Dice for the amazing interview that they conducted and all of the crazy scoops that they helped reveal about the Justice and Dark X-Men sets. These gentlemen are funny and wise beyond their years, and you actually may not know this, but both of them are in their 80s. They stay very young and spry by rolling dice and drinking an absurd amount of tea. But I digress. If you haven't checked out the Ministry of Dice, I cannot recommend them highly enough. This morning they released their most recent podcast where they interviewed their special guest, Jimmy O'Brien, and discussed certain aspects of the upcoming sets. Here are a few of the most notable comments made by Jimmy about those sets. First, here's Jimmy talking about the more varied dice distribution in the new Justice campaign box.
So if you look at what happened with Avengers Infinity, and if you look at what's about to happen with Warhammer, there's not a lot of flexibility as far as the team building is concerned, but these campaign boxes have a bigger selection of characters and fewer dice on some people. The optionality is just a lot deeper, but the replay feels significantly different with this wider selection of characters. And like, not everyone's going to have 3 cards. Some people are going to have 2.
Can you speak to the dice counts in the box?
It's going to be the same situation that if you buy 2, you end up with the max dice for everybody. But again, in most cases, it's not that you desperately need 4 dice of most of these characters for a competitive team. I understand like there's the completionists out there that like, no, they got to have it because they got to have it. But if you're getting 1 copy of someone's die, they're going to be max 2. If you're getting 3 copies of someone's die, they're not going to be max 7 or something. Everything's kind of in that same format of 2 boxes get you the most dice you would ever need.
So while the campaign box is still not a max die affair, it does appear that WizKids is becoming more flexible with the way that they structure the max dice counts for each character. No more are we going to see the standard max 4s across the board, and no more will we see a standard 3-card variant for every character. Some characters may come with 2 cards and 2 dice with a max of 3 and 1. Some may come with 3-card variants with a different max die count on each card. This means that players will need to be a lot more thoughtful when weighing their team building options. If 2 cards are similar in power level, do you play the one that allows you to bring more dice? If 1 card has a much better ability but you only get 1 die for it versus 3, is it more worth it? Very interesting stuff indeed. Here's another clip of Jimmy discussing the new feel of the Dark X-Men set.
Dark X-Men and X-Force are both going to introduce some new mechanics. And we're going to see spins on characters that we haven't seen before. We've seen both aggressive and defensive versions of Wonder Woman, but we haven't really seen Rogue functioning as a team leader on the tabletop, right? We've seen like Rogue as like the power drain, power copy person. And so I think that's a cool switch up. I also think that if you take a look at characters who are like been sometimes leaders of the X-Men, like Kitty Pryde, you're going to see team building, cohesion, leadership ideas on her that are really different from what you've seen on other like team building leadership type characters. But at the same time, you're just kind of like, oh, like this flavor makes sense.
Perhaps I'm reading more into this one than I should, but this comment definitely makes me think of Lords in Magic the Gathering, a card that acts as a leader by giving a specific archetype something special, some like special ability or a buff. We've seen that done before with Super Rare Angela and Star-Lord, both giving a certain type of character a special ability. It's a great way to push the fun thematic element in your card design when designing a game, something that we've already seen them do in the Warhammer 40k set.
Characters we haven't seen before are going to be reminding you of beloved designs that we've seen in other areas, right? So Madeline Pryor has some of that dark mysticism stuff going on, and so if she reminds you a little bit of some of the D&D designs, that only makes sense, and like that's part of what I think people enjoy about Dice Masters so much.
I am very intrigued by the comment about bringing back famous or popular abilities from the past D&D sets, particularly because of the fact that it allows new players the opportunity to play those abilities while giving older players like myself both a nostalgia trip and access to those old abilities in Modern again. I for one am totally fine with them picking and choosing popular old abilities and giving them new twists, and we've seen them do that already in these newer sets. A very smart idea in my book.
If you look at your average Dice Masters die, I think it's fair for you to think about it in terms of half the die is good and your character faces, and half the die is subpar. That math is going to change a lot, and it's not going to be anything like you've seen even in Couriers. That's as far as I can go with that. We might be able to preview a little bit more at PAX. I think that might be the right timetable to keep your eyes open. So that's what I'm going to say on that.
Wow, how do we make sense of that comment without any more context? Perhaps he's talking about like a card that gives some special buff or keyword if a character die is rolled on a single energy face. Maybe it means that they take more advantage of the burst face ideas on characters that we've seen used very sparingly before. Maybe they even put a burst face on one of those double energy sides. Another highly intriguing comment. At the very least, we know that we can expect a few more answers in about a month when PAX takes place. And finally, here are some spoiled globals from the new sets that Jimmy brought with him.
Global, pay a mask once per turn. You may take a die from your used pile and add it to your reserve pool on any energy face.
Oh wow, a super buffed ring global that can target character dice in used, and it can be used on both players' turns. So you could pay a bolt to get a mask character from your used and put it on its double mask face during your opponent's turn, and then field 2 sidekicks using both players' Professor X globals. Or if you're like in Golden Age and you could do the same thing to get 2 old school PXGs if you just missed masks. You can fix to bolts for Magic Missile this way and gain an energy by paying 1 to get 2 bolts on a bolt character. Very, very powerful stuff. Here's another one.
Pay a shield, switch a character die's attack and defense until end of turn.
It's a classic.
The community has been asking for a Kal-El reprint, and here it is. Now you have a way to take out the blob using only globals. Pay the new school Kal-El global, whatever it's going to be called, to make that 1/8 blob turn into an 8/1 and then ping it out using Magic Missile. I am so glad this global exists again. Here's a third new global.
We've got a global, pay 2 masks. Target character die can block an additional character die this turn.
This is a really interesting defensive tool, and it could be great if the meta shifts away from this burn back to physical damage. Now here's another reprinted global.
Pay a fist. Once per turn, on your turn, spin target character die up 1 level.
So now we have a more restrictive version of the Giganta global that many use to trigger awaken abilities already. Very interesting. And Jimmy saved the most bonkers global for last.
So pay 2 masks. Once on your turn, you may remove a die on any card from the game. You may not remove the last die on the card.
For good. Wait, what? Say that again.
So you're going to pay 2 masks, and once on your turn, you may remove a die on any card from the game. You may not remove the last die on the card.
Oh my word.
Yeah, it's weird.
Once per turn, remove an unpurchased die from the game. And if the follow-up questions are confirmed by Jimmy there, then it just goes away for good and doesn't ever come back. Wow, how crazy will that make both casual and competitive games? Especially if things like Yanti, where you trigger stuff by buying stuff, continue to be popular. Goodness gracious, that is a lot of information to process. Very well done, Ministry of Dice, for getting all of that info out to the community. Now we all have an opportunity to process this while we prepare our wallets for Warhammer. But wait! They also released 4 spoiler images from the upcoming Justice set. The first one is called Atlantis, Wealthy Kingdom. It's a 2-drop shield action that says when you field a sidekick character die, draw 2 dice and roll them until the end of the turn. How crazy is this alongside things like the Spot? And how crazy is this alongside both the Spot combined with Instant War? Good lord, what does that even do? Who knows? Answer, it draws and rolls everything that you've ever purchased. That's amazing. The next card is a 2-drop Elastigirl, Talented Actress. It's a 2-drop shield character with an 012, 024, 134 stat line, so a really good stat line for a 2-drop, but it has this little drawback that says Elastigirl cannot attack the turn she is fielded. It also has an Aftershock effect, which if you don't remember what Aftershock does, it's from way back when in the ASM set. It says prevent 2 damage from an attacking character die or prevent 2 damage to you. You choose. And Aftershock is only triggered when your opponent removes this from the field zone in any way, shape, or form. You cannot remove it to trigger Aftershock. Your opponent must do that. The third card is a wonderful reprint of Investigation. So if you were one of those people that could not get your hands on the Mighty Thor basic actions, now you have an opportunity to play with Investigation person and own it in your collection. And finally, we have Parasite, Maxwell Jensen, a 2-drop bolt character that has an 022, 133, 234 stat line, and this ability that says while Parasite is active, instead of declaring Parasite as an attacker, you may add his attack and defense to an attacking character die. You may do this once for each of your Parasite character dice that do not attack. This occurs when you declare attackers. How cool is that ability? What a cool new way to make use of stats without having to just play the push with attackers or defensive players stat. That is so cool. So there you go. There are the 4 spoiled images from this new Justice set. Let me know what you think about all of these amazing new spoilers and reveals. Tell me what you find the most interesting, the most intriguing, the most exciting, and which of these 4 cards do you like the most? Again, another huge shout out to the Ministry of Dice. I'm going to put a link in the description to their webpage. Please go check them out. They have amazing podcasts, super fun to listen to, and they did a great job with all of these spoilers and information news things. As always, everybody, thanks for watching.